Hello everyone, Auvbri here and welcome back to another speed build in The Sims 4. So today we are building Chateau del Sol is what I wanted to say. And I've been teasing this build since my last one, and I've been teasing it on Twitter as well, and it's finally done. This build took, oh my god, so long to do, and I think that the result is so freaking good. I'm in love with how this turned out, and as you could see in the intro, it is, I think, truly spectacular looking. So what I did was trying to recreate a sort of French style chateau, but still keeping it in the roots of somewhat Scandinavian influences, like from the crown family, royal family, and I think the result is really good. So what we're gonna do first here is work on the exterior, and as I posted on Twitter, this took like literally almost 3 hours just to do the exterior. And in the live stream we had last time, somebody asked me how am my game not lagging, because when people tend to play their Sims game and the more stuff you have in it, the more it's gonna lag. And I do have to say, actually my game was lagging this time around, just because of the sheer amount of stuff that we put into this build. Even before I started doing the interior, the game started to lag a bit, and I have a freaking powerful computer, like ridiculously powerful, really expensive stuff, and it just couldn't handle it. The game was just not optimized for so much stuff on the scene as at once. So it was quite funny, but it also came as quite a surprise here. So the reason that it actually started to lag is because we do a lot with the terrain tools in this build, and I put in tons of detailing on this build. I do believe it's the most expensive build I have done yet. Don't quote me on that, but I'm fairly certain it's one of the most expensive builds I've done. So it came to around a little under 700,000 simoleons, which is insane. Really expensive, but I think the result in the end, and again I'm gonna say this a lot in this build, but I think the result was something truly amazing. So here I just had to shift the whole build over 1 square because my calculations were wrong, and I was actually missing a square on one side, so I just had to move things over so we could actually center the front door in the middle here. So what we're gonna have going on is, as you could see in the intro, we're gonna have this grand big staircase leading up to the build itself, and creating this staircase in this build gave me hell. And I'm not even kidding. I know a lot of other builders have had the same problems with bugs and stuff like that in the terrain tools, and I totally get where they're coming from now. I didn't have it so much in the Asian mountain build or in the vineyard build, but in this build it was ridiculous, and you're gonna see it in the back as well. One of these stairs in the back just kept disappearing. It just didn't want to be there. I don't know why, and it worked fine in the other end of the back here, but for some reason it just didn't want to go there. So I had a lot of trouble, and some of the terrain painting disappeared once I started doing my stuff, and yeah, it was just a struggle, but I think it turned out good in the end. I have tested everything. My sim was able to walk everywhere. She was able to use every staircase. So that's good. I mean, it is all working probably. So here again, this is one of those bugs that I just encountered where for some reason, and you're gonna see it in a little bit, for some reason I could not place flooring around this fountain area, which was so weird. So I had to actually remove the fountain, put in the flooring, and then put the fountain back. That was also the case for the pool that's gonna be in the back as well, and I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, it was a little weird. I was trying to do some split leveling stuff here with the staircases and just to create an even grander entrance, and I thought it was really cool looking with this big fountain piece in the middle and multiple staircases leading up to this big house, Chateau, on the top of the hill, overlooking Del Sol Valley, which is why it has the name it has, the Chateau del Sol. So I thought that was really cool. We're currently in the wrong season, and I realized that I couldn't figure out why is looking so drab and dull. So we're gonna change the season here in just a little bit back to summer. And for those of you wondering, there is a cheat code to that. It is what is it? Seasons dot set season dot as a like set space season, and then from 0 to 3. So 0 is summer, and then fall, not spring. I don't know. You guys can Google it. It is there. It's a fairly simple cheat to use, and it's a very handy cheat to use once you're building like here. So again, here we're having some problems with the staircases, and as you guys can see, it is for some reason not showing up sometimes. So you have to delete the staircase and put it back in, which is also new. I haven't seen that before, but it's definitely there. So yeah, there is a lot of editing in this build just because the exterior took so long. I tried to edit it so you guys would see almost everything. There's just some stuff that's just not gonna be in here because this video is 30 minutes long, which is a very long time for a video in my opinion. But yeah, I tried to edit as little as possible, and if I did remove something, I made sure that it wasn't the most important thing, because I know a lot of you guys said that in the vineyard build that you would have loved to seen me do the vineyard more, and I can totally understand where you guys are coming from, but the thing with that build was there just wasn't anything to show really. So in the vineyard, what we did there was just the most tedious work, and it just wasn't fun to watch. But here I tried to keep as much of the fun stuff as I could, so you guys could still see what was going on at all times. So that being said, moving on to the next little build on the side here. So this is where the garage is going to be. It's going to be a slightly raised up garage, and I decided to put a fence around that as well. There's nothing actually in the garage just because we don't have cars, so it's just a little teaser. Hopefully we can get cars in the future or in The Sims 5 and then bring back the open worlds. That is my dream. I hope for it. So yeah, fingers crossed for that. But yeah, I wanted to have a slightly raised up garage here. I also tried to make one on the other side as well, but it just didn't fit. I didn't like the way that it looked. So this is what we came up with, and I kind of like it. I think it fits really well. We're gonna put in this grand big what is it called, gates that you can see here, where I have added a little bit more stuff. We added that just to have some sense of privacy, and also I would imagine that having those really expensive cars in there, you would want to have a gate to keep people out, and it's a bit more harder to steal from the chateau because there's so many stairs, and I feel like the thieves would just get tired really quickly. So that's why I decided to add a gate there. It just fit the best. Going to the side of the build here, I wanted to have this little garden area. Nothing too special, but just something beautiful to kind of occupy the place here. So I made like this little watchtower thing overlooking one side of the garden, and it's kind of slightly over the edge of the terrain, which I thought looked really good. We're gonna add a lot of plants, and I'm gonna make this fake barrier with the hedges, so it looks really good. I added a lot of trees on this side of the build, just because I thought it looked really good there. On the other side of the build, I didn't really do too much. Again, because this build was just turning out to be so big with so many items. And at this point, you can't see it in the editing here, but I had some trouble sometimes where it started to lag a bit. And that really doesn't happen to me very often. So I was trying to keep it on the minimal, but I didn't want to go down on the quality of the build. So I decided to just go head on and try and finish this build. So this is actually about the part where I stopped doing the recording for a little bit, just to save some time. I was doing tedious work like placing the hedges and all of these greenery around the place just to make everything look beautiful. You're gonna see some of it, but there's also a lot of it that you're just not gonna see because you can see it in the finished build, and it's nothing that really helps you guys out with figuring out how I do stuff. But again, I had made this border with the terrain here, and I just took these square hedges, followed the terrain that I had created to kind of create this fake little garden on the side here. And there is actually a doorway out to this part of the garden as well as the back. So we're also going to create a little pathway. And I just loved the way that it looked with all of these trees and overlooking Del Sol Valley. I thought it looked so good. This is where the terrain just gave me the absolutely most horrendous tough time in the world. So I wanted to have this staircase kind of mimicking the one in the back or in the front at this point. So I decided to do some split leveling staircases again. And oh my lord, I should not have done that. But once I started doing it, I was not going to be defeated by the game. So I just kept on going, trying to do stuff. And this is again where we skip a little in the editing. And that staircase that you can see on the left there, every time I placed something, no matter what it was, if it was flooring, a hedge or something in the interior, it kept disappearing. So I made sure that that was the very last thing that I put in. So it is there in the uploaded builds, and yeah, we finished up the back here. We made some changes, small changes to the front, just made a little deck area as well. And we're moving inside here. So this build is really grand inside as well as the outside. I wanted to have something that really reflected what we could see on the inside. And that's why we have this great big staircase in the front. I'm going to create a nice big viewing area from this part. So this room that we see here is actually just a big room where you can look downstairs. That's all it is. We have some seating areas around the place, so you can sit and enjoy yourself with tea or whatever, but it's really all it is. And this is at that point where every single thing I did made the game lag a bit, especially putting in the fencing and the lights made it lag so much. And it is a good thing that you guys can't see it in the speeded up version here, because it was really bad at some point, and I just wanted to make sure here that my sim could still use the staircases while we had these great big lights hanging over the stairs. She could, so that's good. Moving downstairs here, and this is the first room that I wanted to tackle. So I wanted to have a great big dance hall, like a little dance hall where you could have sims over, party, and just have an overall good time. And I think that you guys can really see the feel of the build here. So it's marble flooring all throughout the build, almost. No, actually it is. Throughout the build it's marble flooring. And we have marble walls, some of them, not all, but I believe it's 2 of the rooms that don't have marbles on the flooring. But I just loved how this looked, and I really channeled my inner French person, and I took also a lot of inspiration from the Danish royal family houses, the royal castles that we have here. And if you guys don't know, the Danish royal family is one of the oldest in the world, even older than the English one or British one. And the architecture and the interiors of those builds are just amazingly beautiful. So I really tried to channel that and still having this French type of aspect to it. And I think those two meshed really good together because they just go together. It is kind of royalty like this build. So I feel like this would probably be like a vacation home for a royal family. Or a really rich, famous sim in the Get Famous worlds as well. But yeah, I enjoyed doing this build. It's not the style I do the most, but once I do this style, I really like to go all in. And with all the items that came with the Get Famous expansion pack, a lot of them just went really well with this type of build. So I just decided to go all in. We use a lot of white and gold in here with some pops of color here and there, like in the dance hall, the blue couches here, just to break things up a bit. But I still wanted to make sure that every single thing went together. So you're gonna see a lot of the same colors throughout the build here, but I still tried to keep that same tone. And I think, at least I think so, I think it's something that you guys really do appreciate once there is a cohesive feel throughout the house. So that's what I tried to do here. I did throw in some rocks here and there that were a bit more modern, but I thought that they just had a really nice accent to the build that we had. So that's why I decided to throw in those. So there is a lot of seating areas in this build. There's also a lot of what you would call negative space, where there's just not a lot of stuff. And that's really one of the qualities that I enjoy of these types of builds. It's just you can have a lot of negative space where there's just not a lot of items, and it doesn't feel like wasted space. It feels like it's supposed to be that way, and it isn't looked at as something negative. With a grand build like this, having a lot of negative space where there's a lot of room is, in my eyes, seen as something that is more royal-like and, you know, just overall more immaculate, and that's why we have a lot of negative space here. So I wanted to have again, we have a big dancing hall. I wanted to have a grand, big dining hall. I feel like this is a place where a really, really famous sim would live, have lots of parties, and really have a lot of friends over. Maybe a maid or a butler for the vintage stuff pack. I have actually really been thinking about getting that, so you guys tell me down below, should I get the vintage stuff pack? I know there's a lot of items in there, a lot, quotations, items in there that I want to get, but yeah, you guys know me and stuff packs. We have not the best relationship, but you guys tell me, should I get it? Tell me down below. Oh, and also, yeah, thank you. Shout out to, oh, I can't remember who it was, but it was in the last speed build that I did in the vineyard. Somebody totally fixed my gallery links, so they should be working now. And that person did what EA have been trying to do via the support forever. So thank you so much for that. I was so grateful for that. It was so good. Like literally fixed it in 2 comments, and that's it. Then it was fixed, and I can find myself on the gallery again. So I can post the links to you guys, so you can download it to your games just right here from YouTube, instead of having to go into the game. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. I was working on the kitchen here. I wanted it to be more of a servant's kitchen type of way. So I feel like this is a kitchen where the royalty or celebrity or whatever wouldn't actually come. They wouldn't go in here. So this is strictly for the butlers and maids. And that is also the fact with the laundry room. So yeah, I just tried to have a sense of not the most glamorous in here, and just keeping the butler aspect in mind once I did this. So we also have some very drab lighting in here, which is actually helping it out a bit more. I feel like the lighting helped it build a bit more character. So yeah. Moving upstairs here, we have 2 bedrooms up here. We have a big master bedroom. Then we have a bedroom with an ensuite bathroom. I would have liked to have 2 bathrooms upstairs here, but yeah, I just couldn't fit it in without it looking like it just didn't belong. So I decided just to have 1 bathroom. There's also going to be a library on the 3rd floor, which we're gonna go up to now. I just had to remove that window just because it was in the way of the staircase, and this really was the only place where I could see the staircase go without it being in the way. So yeah, going up here, the library is on the top here, and I wanted to have a library because I felt like it would really belong. It's something that I have always not expected, but it always had in my mind. Like when you see movies like Beauty and the Beast and just in general builds with these really extravagant big chateaus, castles, mansions, whatever, there's always a library in that build somewhere. So I wanted to still have that. I did throw in some computers here. I had a change of heart when I was doing this build. I really wanted to get rid of the computers again, but I felt like you guys would just put them in. So I decided to just leave them. But there's no television in this build, no TVs at all. So just keep that in mind. No televisions. Working on one of the bedrooms here. The two bedrooms are actually quite similar. I used a lot of the same items, and as you might have noticed, I have used a lot of stuff that just came with the Get Famous expansion pack. I've also used a lot of stuff that came with the garden stuff pack, romantic gardens, I can't remember what it's called, but you guys know what it is, from the exterior as well, and some items from other packs, but most of the items in this build is base game and Get to Work, or no, Get Famous, because it worked and it fit well and it looked good and everything was just one cohesive thing, which I really enjoyed. So I tried to just use that, and it's not like I actually had a use for any of the other like game pack, expansion pack stuff, items, things, just because I didn't need them for this type of build. But this is the last room that we're gonna do. I did the bathrooms on my own just because again this build is very, very long, but we're gonna jump into the screenshots in just a little bit here. But this is the last room, the master bedroom, and I think this turned out nice as well. So yeah, here we have the screenshots. So this is the grand staircase. You can see the entrance, the front entrance in the back there from above, looking grand. I love all the gold features, the chandeliers as well. Lots of seating areas, lots of negative space as well, which I fairly enjoy. So remember, if you want to get this build, it is on the gallery right now. Search my origin ID, which is Auvbri, or press the link down below in the description box, and you should be able to find all my stuff. Follow me on Twitter, where I post all of my stuff, where like little teasers of what I'm currently doing. You guys can contact me, live streams, information about that is also going to be in there, and yeah, we just generally try to have a really good time on Twitter, so definitely follow me there. The downstairs living room here, again, looking really nice. I just love how this turned out with all of the gold and white accents and the furniture. This is a really nice time periods, like interior wise and exterior. They did such beautiful builds back then that we just can't recreate today, so fairly enjoyed that. The beautiful view here and some shots from above, so we can see where everything is located, and it is a crazy big build. It's probably the most expensive build I have done. But you guys tell me, what do you guys think about the build? How do you think it turned out? I mean, look at the screenshots here. I'm kind of in love with it, and I hope you guys will be too. So yeah, tell me what you thought about the build down below. And as we take a look at the last screenshots, tell me if you are gonna download the build as well. Let's start a conversation down below, and stay tuned for my live stream tomorrow. Information on my Twitter page when that is going to be. And yeah, as we look at the last screenshots here, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and have a truly fantastic day wherever you are in the world. I hope to see you next time for another video. Bye!